If you have any questions or if you'd like to adopt a cat, then just let me know, and I always love to see results. So today I'm going to show you how to make an A5 notebook. This is what we're going to be creating. I'm Liz Constable, the author of DIY Notebooks Made Easy, and also, which I can't pronounce, the German version. And the reason I'm showing you this is because the lovely Melanie, who did the translating for me, actually asked me if I would make an A5 notebook and demonstrate how to put it together for her creative writing group. So this is for you, but if you're watching it, I hope that also it can be of help to you too. Right, what do we need? 10 pieces of A4 paper, 1 piece of A4 card, half a metre of thread, a needle, scissors, awl, cradle, bone folder, a pen and an A4 piece of paper. Please don't worry if you don't have some of these things. I will show you at the end what you can replace them with. Let's get started. The first thing you need to do is to fold your piece of card in half. I'm just using a piece that I had in my studio, and if you noticed, I've made sure that the ends line up before pressing along the edge. A really good thing to use if you have one is a bone folder, which I do. I'll show you at the end what you can use instead. You can of course use your fingernail. I'm just going to pop it in my cradle over here. I'm opening it out and putting it in. The next thing you need to do is fold all of your pieces of A4 paper in half. Ideally you want to do this one at a time, because then you get a nice crisp finish. Making sure they line up. You start it off with your finger, run your bone folder along the edge like that. Do this with all of your paper. When you've got them, you want to put them inside each other. So what that means is you get them and you're putting them inside one at a time, like this, until you've got them all together. Okay, now what we need to do is get our A5 piece of paper and create a template so we can figure out where the holes for binding are going to go. I'm going to fold it in half this way. My assistant has come to supervise to check that I'm doing this correctly. And then, so I folded that in half, opened it out, fold it in half this way, and then fold it in half again. And when I open it out, you'll see that I've got 3 very clear fold lines where they cross each other, and I'm just going to put a dot on all of those 3. I'm also going to write the word top. It doesn't really matter at this stage because it's a little bit hard to go wrong, but it's a good habit to get into if you're going to be making more books. It's important when you put your template inside that it's nicely lined up. I'll show you what you don't want. You don't want it sticking over the edge, because then you won't get an equal spacing for your holes. So I'm just using the palms of my hand to make sure that it's lined up correctly. Well, let's make sure we do feeding first next time. Right, popping the awl, it's a long pointy thing, into the holes and giving them a nice twist. And that way, when it's time to bind them, to bind the book, the holes are opened nicely. Now I'm holding on to this so that it stays nicely together. It doesn't run away from itself. If you'd like your thread to be on the outside at the end, then you begin on the outside. If you'd like it on the inside, you begin on the inside, and I will show you what both of them look like in a minute. So I'm going to go with the inside. I am pulling it through like that. I'm just going to hold on to how many years have I been doing this for? I'm just going to hold on to the end here. And oh, turn it over, and I'm going through the top hole so that I come into the middle. I'm just going to move that out of the way. Give it a bit of a pull. I'm using linen thread, so it's quite thick. And now I'm going to take it over to the bottom hole there and the book. And again, just pulling it through. This is what it should look like at this stage. Then when you flip it over, going back through the middle. Now you'll see there is one piece of thread already sticking up. So I'm just going to carefully put the thread that's running lengthwise over so that the threads come up both sides. Here we go, and I'm pulling it out. I'm going to get rid of the needle now. Hopefully it won't be as awkward for you, but I'm trying to do it off the table. That's always a bit tricky. And then just tie in a normal knot. You can leave the threads long if you want, or you can just snip them. I wouldn't snip them much shorter than that because you don't want it to unravel. This is what it looks like when you start your binding on the inside. You would do the same thing but in reverse. And this is an example with cobwebs of a notebook where the threads end up on the outside like that. And I've just tied on some little underground, actually it's from an old key ring, and I just thought that was quite good. Now this has been dyed, these papers have been dyed in coffee, and that's really easy to do. And I'm actually doing a free online demonstration on Saturday the 11th of April 2020, and if you want to join in, just let me know and I can put the details of that. I can send them to you. So there you go, a really nice easy way to make a notebook. Okay, as promised, some little replacements. Can you replace a cat with a dog? Okay, if you haven't got a bone folder, you can just use a knife from the kitchen. Just make sure it's not got a serrated edge. If you haven't got an awl, then I'm sure your parents will have a cork or even a rubber, and just pop a needle into it. If you don't have some linen thread, then maybe just use some cotton, but make sure you double it so that it's a little bit thicker, or just have a look around. If you really don't have anything to bind with it, use a stapler if you have to, or if your mum or dad has a sewing machine, someone has a sewing machine, just ask if you can just run the sewing machine along the middle. The important thing is that it gets stuck together. And what else have we got? And oh yes, if you don't have a cradle to put your notebook into while you're binding, then just use the Yellow Pages or any kind of book. The main thing is that it has some kind of support, and don't do it on your lap because you're likely to poke a hole in your leg. And also please be aware of the tabletop that you're using.